So welcome again to Google. We're going to get started today by just having the cast members introduce themselves and talk a little bit about how you got involved with the show.
Let's start.
Hi guys, I'm Claudia. I play Rebecca and I cover Gloria Estefan in the show. How'd I get involved? So I lived in New York. I heard about the show actually. I used to sing background vocals for an artist called John Cicada. And he actually got his career started by singing background vocals for Gloria. And so the Cicadas and the Estefans have a relationship. And I remember John's wife called me on the phone while I was doing summer stock in Vermont. And she was like, okay, so they're making Gloria's life into a musical. And like, you have to like try and get seen, blah, blah, blah. But I was not in New York, so I couldn't audition for the show. And I moved there, and the show was already on Broadway. And I remember, like, I would literally call my agent, like, every other day, being like, so when are you going to get me in for On Your Feet? When are you going to get me in for On Your Feet? And they're like, Claudia, they are not looking. And one day, like, he emailed me. He's like, okay, please stop calling me. Here's your audition, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, thank you. And I went in a ton of times. And yeah, one day, like, I got the call. My agent was like, okay, you can finally leave me alone. Like, here you go. You're doing the show. Blah, 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 have fun, leave me alone. I was like, thank you.
Dan?
Hi, I'm Danny Burgos. I'm in the Ensemble, and I understudy Emilio Estefan. And let me see, my process with the show was I was doing a production of In the Heights, and I had been asking my agent over and over and over again, please submit me for On Your Feet. And she was like, I just don't really think it's the right show for you. And I was like, I'm a Cuban guy from Miami, how can it not be? And so yeah, she finally got me that audition. And I mean, the rest is history. I went in for Clay a bunch of times. I like remember his face very vividly from my auditions. And eventually my agent called me, and I was just like, hi, what's happening? And she just goes, how would you like to be on Broadway? And I was like, what? And yeah, they needed me literally for a month on Broadway to learn the role of Emilio. And then while I was there, they were like, hey, you're gonna go on tour. I was like, yes, I am. And so, yeah, here I am.
Okay. I'm from Gloria's old band. I started with her March of '88, and I didn't do Broadway. I almost did. I was still musical director touring with Julio Iglesias year-round. So I didn't do Broadway, but then when the road tour started up, I was like, yes, I want to do it, because he stopped touring. So here I am, and it's a lot of fun. We have 5 guys from the old band, and it's like going out and doing a Gloria show every night with the energy and these wonderful people we're working with. So it's a blast.
My involvement with the show started when the show started. I was involved with the very first reading in New York City in 2014. I was very fortunate to have Gloria and Emilio ask me to represent the music in the development of the story and in the development of the show. So I was involved with every process along the way. So I really learned a tremendous amount about how Broadway works, because I had never worked in Broadway before. I kind of got to work with the best people right away, right off the bat. And I never had any experience at it before, so it was really a fortunate thing. I kind of like equate it to like being on LeBron James's team, but never having even played basketball before, you know. So I really learned a lot on Broadway in the production. We toured with Gloria for 32 years. I've worked with Gloria and Emilio as a songwriter, keyboard player, producer, and orchestrator and arranger. So my quick experience in New York taught me a lot about the entire production and the entire process. And the musical director chair as the tour has been a complete joy for me. I enjoy it very much. We have a beautiful band, beautiful cast, and we really enjoy doing the show.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. So Clay, you're from Colorado. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to bring the show and music to your home state?
Well, I'm from Boulder. I was born in Denver. I grew up in Boulder and went to Boulder High School and had a great experience in Miami at college. But whenever we come back and do our music in Boulder, or in Denver, it's a great experience for me, because I get my 2 worlds to collide, my youth, my childhood, my family, and the music of Gloria and our music from Miami and the Caribbean and the South America and all the types of music that we play. So it's a real adrenaline rush for me to come back home and have this show again represent and entertain people here in Denver, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you and Mike have known Gloria and Emilio for a long time, correct? Can you talk about what it's like to work with them so closely?
You want to start? So I'll start. So when I first met Gloria in 1986, I had no ambitions of being in the Latin pop salsa world of music. We had a band in Miami out of college, and John Cicada was our singer, and we had a bunch of great musicians in the band. Gloria and Emilio were just really starting to make it big in their industry, so they came to hear our band, and they really liked what they saw, and they hired 5 of us from that band to be Miami Sound Machine in 1986. And at that moment, we were all kind of into jazz, and we were playing all kinds of music, and we thought, oh, this will be kind of a fun gig for a while. We'll work for the Estefans, you know. And 32 years later, we're still here. So through the career of Gloria and our careers, there's been so many different types of genres and types of music and styles that have led us in different directions. So it's also led her into different directions as a person. And she's been so adaptable and so wonderful to take on these new challenges for us. And same with Emilio. And it always gives us new challenges and new opportunities to produce, write, go do concerts, and have our careers grow in a similar way. And now a Broadway show is an entirely another opportunity for us that's been fantastic. Did I miss anything?
No, you pretty much covered it.
And so, Danny and Claudia, what was it like for you guys to bring the story of Gloria and Emilio to life on stage?
Well, we both grew up in Miami. I was born in Venezuela and then was raised in Miami. And so for me, I grew up my entire life hearing about Gloria and Emilio and being surrounded by their music everywhere you go. You can't walk into a restaurant without hearing conga, it's literally a part of just life in Miami. And so now getting to, especially because they're immigrants just like me. I immigrated from Venezuela when I was 7, and so to get to tell this story in this caliber and to kind of travel around the country representing immigrants and representing this music that I grew up hearing is literally a dream come true. I could not, people always ask me what's your dream show? What's your dream role after this? And literally this is it. I honestly, I really hope something else comes along that I love as much as this, because this would be a really, you hit your peak at the beginning of your career, and then you're everything is downhill from here.
I'm not sure they knew. Maybe it was announced, but I didn't miss it. Yeah. That Claudia understudies the role of Gloria, and Danny understudies the role of Emilio, so they go on as Gloria and Emilio as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, getting to do that is just ridiculous. Especially, I grew up singing a lot of pop music, and John, who I sang for, helped write Coming Out of the Dark with Gloria. And so I remember being in Brazil and singing that song, singing backgrounds for him, and then getting to be in that blue gown at the AMAs at the end of the show and lead that song and lead our company of incredible actors and having the Miami Sound Machine backing you. It's a joke. It doesn't get better than that.
I think my favorite part of what we do in On Your Feet every single night is the fact that we have the incredible opportunity as musical theater actors, singer, dancers to be playing Latin American people. We're not playing a Latin American stereotype. We're not playing a Latin American thing. We're playing these two pop icons who are Cuban, and it's just they happen to be Cuban and we happen to be Latin, and we get to relay this story around the country. We're telling people a little bit about our culture, and I think that's so important to educate the country on what we are. This is Cuban culture at its finest, and it's awesome. We're representing people who made it. They made it, and they're just Latin people who made it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, the show definitely had a lot of like move your shoulders in your seat kind of songs. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to bring these kind of like international hits like the conga and Rhythm is on Your Feet, Rhythm is Gonna Get You, and On Your Feet to stage?
Well, for me, it's again, it's just a really special feeling to know that the music that we wrote, performed, did so many thousands of times, and did so long ago, still is being used for something meaningful and effective and significant, and that it matters to the audience and to the band and to the cast. That's really an incredible thing, that our music, that we thought it was pretty cool when we wrote it or did it, and some of it is very straight ahead kind of dance pop music, and some of it is folkloric, culturally significantly Cuban, Peruvian, South American, Caribbean things. So to have that matter again and be part of a story, for me, is really fun, and it really like justifies so much of what we did in our career, I think.
Yeah.
It's kind of selfish, but it feels good to say that. Yeah.
It's also super cool, like, to be on stage, and right as soon as, like, for example, when 1, 2, 3 starts, you see like people light up and they're like, I love that song. But then it also is kind of a part of moving our story forward. Our writer did a brilliant job, and the team who assembled the musical did such a great job of using like the music to move the story forward, and that is rare in jukebox musicals, which is what you call like a musical that uses a catalog of music that already existed. It's rare to kind of have all the songs kind of move you along, but they do, and so yeah, no, it's so cool to get to see, especially the top of Act 2 starts with a medley of like all the hits. And when you come out of there and you start singing Get On Your Feet, and people are literally having to like restrain themselves in their chairs, 'cause it's awesome.
What inspired all of you to be involved in performing arts? Anyone can answer.
I was a shy, introverted little kid. I loved public speaking, passed out in my 5th grade class trying to do a book report. Horrified of audiences. But I just clicked with a saxophone, and I did my first professional gig at 13. And immediately I was like, oh, well, it seems like all the band guys are friends. So I just went into band in 7th grade, and by the end of 8th grade, I was a professional musician, gigging up to 4 gigs a weekend. And I've been that way ever since May of 1977. I'm really old. No.
You came out of your shell.
I came out of the shell. I just immediately went into music and just loved it.
Now look at you, the life of the party. Seriously. I mean, I wasn't shy ever. I've just always loved performing, and when I was a little girl, I would like force my parents to sit and like hear me sing. I was a monster. Yeah, and as I got older, I fell in love with theater, just the idea of like being able to tell a story and kind of just kind of connect with the humanity of the people that are in the audience, and kind of, I think the theater is such a beautiful vehicle to get people to kind of like let down their walls for 2 hours or however long the show is, and kind of like allow themselves to see themselves on stage and to feel something, maybe learn something, hopefully. So yeah, like the idea that we get to tell stories for a living is just, I mean, I don't want to do anything other than that.
Let's see. In 7th grade, I auditioned for the drama club, and the teacher told me I wasn't drama material. And then in 8th grade, because I'm stubborn, I auditioned for the school musical, which was Annie, and literally 4 boys auditioned, so I got a part. And I was Rooster in Annie, and Rooster's first thing that he has to do when he comes on stage is crow like a rooster. And I was so shy and so introverted that I was like, "Grr, grr," and I was terrified. So I never did anything musical again. And when I was 13, I got a job at Cold Stone Creamery, and they sing for their tips. So I got $1 from some guy, and I sang an ice cream version of My Girl. And the guy like turns back around and goes, "Do you want to be in a musical?"
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, sure. And I showed up to the first day of rehearsal, and I was cast as the little newspaper delivery boy in She Loves Me. and the lead didn't show up for the first day of rehearsal. So he was like, "Hey, how'd you like to be the lead?" And I was like, "Okay." And that was my first lead in a musical.
Can we please hear the ice cream version of Mean Girl?
So I'd like to say a quick story about that. It's kind of fun. Our family was very musical, and everyone was required to do at least learn some music, especially the piano and some other music instruments. And I was always kind of like surrounded by music in the home and in the family. And when I was growing up, we all listened to certain kind of music that just click and like make us like kind of inspire us to like get chills up and down your spine from some kind of music. And that feeling about music was always kind of around me. And I just want to say a couple quick little stories. One of the first albums my dad got me for birthday was Herbie Hancock. And one of the first songbooks I ever had, my sister had, was Stevie Wonder Songs in the Key of Life. And those songbooks are still in our house and in our my parents' house, where we grew up. And last week, I shook hands and talked to Stevie Wonder for a little while at our opening in LA, and told him how much his music meant to me as a kid. And about 2 months ago, I talked to Herbie Hancock at the Honors Award in DC, or a few months ago, and had a chance to talk to him and tell him how much his music meant to me. So I think that inspiration that you get and the chills you get from music that matters is what really motivated me, and that I still am fascinated by every night when we do the show and we hit something and it makes us charged, and then it immediately goes out to people and they let us know how it makes them charged. I think that's really important in the world.
Yeah, I love
that performance.
That's awesome. So switching gears a little bit, we have a couple of more culturally centric questions. And the first of which is, although we still have a long way to go, with the recent releases of movies like Coco and songs like Despacito at the top of the entertainment charts, it feels like there's definitely been a resurgence of Latinos in film and music. Have you seen this change represented in the Broadway industry as well?
Definitely. I think with shows like Hamilton and like On Your Feet, it's definitely like torn down a few of the walls that were up, and now you're seeing more and more diversity on stage. We definitely have a long way to go, but it's kind of been a beautiful thing to see, like, just my peers and my fellow like Latin community and African American community getting roles that have nothing to do with like who you are.
Yeah.
And where your background and what language you grew up speaking, and it has to do with like your ability to like tell a story and sing or whatever it is. So it's beautiful. Yeah, it's starting. Like right now we have in Waitress in New York, there's going to be an African American actress who's going to play Jenna, which probably 2 years ago that would have never happened. Mm-hmm. And so it's exciting. We have a long way to go, and definitely we have to be super grateful for all of the actors and the older singers who kind of trailblaze, like Rita Moreno and all of these actors who kind of like pave the way for us, because it's not just someone writes Hamilton and then all of a sudden there's people who like have been fighting for this for years. And so, yeah, but it's definitely, we're getting there, slowly but surely.
I have like such a place of reverence in my life for Lin-Manuel Miranda, because he does things with theater that open up these doors. Like In the Heights was the first time, In the Heights was when I knew that I wanted to do musical theater. I watched those Tony Awards and I was like, wow, Latin people on stage doing a show just about one day in Washington Heights. In the Heights is about nothing more than just one day in Washington Heights. And I used to love things like The Addams Family, where you have like Gomez Addams, which is a hysterical character, but he plays at a stereotype of what it is to be a Latin man. And so what I love about stuff like On Your Feet, we're just Latin people. In the Heights, it's just a bunch of Latin people on stage. You have Hamilton, where you have Angelica, Eliza, and Peggy, which is a black woman, a Filipino woman, and a Latina, and they're sisters because they say they're sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's it, you know? Yeah. So what I'm loving about the way that Broadway is moving into, I don't like saying colorblind casting, because I think that we should be very proud of who we are as people, whatever that be. I think it's more color conscious casting. It's like, awesome, we're looking at the fact that these three women, no, they wouldn't be related maybe in real life, but They say that they're sisters on stage. They say it every single time they come on stage. So let's just suspend disbelief for a little bit, and for 2 hours they are sisters.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful. It's really incredible what we can do when we just allow things to happen.
Yeah, I love that.
Can I add something really quick?
Yeah.
Because I have to. I can't help myself. So having the opportunity to have people from all kind of cultures and all kinds of make backgrounds is only really possible, in my view, when there's arts in the schools. Because without art programs in the schools and the ability to learn about it and be motivated and inspired by arts in the culture, in the community, it's nearly impossible for people to want to go into it, to have the avenue to get into it, and have any kind of training to get into it. So I think it's really important to know that when our arts are taken away from school systems, we're diminishing that. We're not headed in the right direction with that at all. And the only way to increase that direction is to provide that understanding in the schools at every level. And I think that's something that needs to be remembered.
I would like to add to that because I'm a product of an arts high school, and growing up in Miami, it's super diverse. But at the same time, like my first time meeting like a white blonde person was in high school in Miami, and I moved there when I was 7. And also, it's just being able to kind of, I feel like that's what made me get into the arts is because I went to school with people who were so different from me, people who were from the community, the clusters of communities that were like mostly Haitian or African American and stuff like that. And when we were in the classroom, it was we were all the same, and we were able to create work together, no matter what your like socioeconomic background was or all that stuff. And so, arts in schools. Very important.
We like to talk.
Yeah,
like
arts
that.
and schools, yeah. So we actually have a couple minutes for audience questions now, so we can open it up to the floor if anyone has any questions.
If you happen to find yourselves in a technology environment, what technology advancement do you think would make the most difference for the theater, have the most impact?
I only say this because I was literally thinking about it in the wing last night. So, I was a spot op. I was like a spot op when I was in college because we had to do like technical whatever. And I was always thinking about like how jarry I was when I like moved the light. And I was like, how awesome would it be if like you could just have a screen where like you put your finger on whoever you're focusing on and the spotlight just like follows them. And it's so smooth. And I was literally thinking about that in the wing while Gloria Estefan was singing Coming Out of the Dark.
I think that we all have learned the importance of technology in the arts world, and some of us get really into it. I do it as far as recording and a little bit in video, but mostly recording. And we all understand the importance of technology in the media side of it. But I think a lot of us really focus 99% on the creation of the expression and not on the technical side of it. So that's, I think, where our priorities are. I don't know if that answers you or hurts the question, but
I mean, just to, I would think like maybe a device that would silence cell phones automatically in the theater. Honestly,
there's a good one.
it would be amazing because sometimes like you're on stage and you're like in a dramatic scene and like it's like a silence and then you just hear like, I don't know why La Cucaracha is the first thing that came to my mind. That is horrible. Anyway, but you just hear a ringtone and you're like, and then you have to block it out, and then it just takes you out of the moment. And so that would be beautiful if there was like a device that you could install in the theater, and it just like automatically silences the phones.
that's a good one.
Yeah. I feel like that'd be helpful at work too.
Do you have any stories about onstage or backstage mishaps that have happened?
Oh, there are so many.
I mean, I guess we were just talking about this in the car. So one day I think we were in Philly, and I was on for Gloria, and I had like 11 or 12 like friends and family members who like drove in or flew in to see the show. And our opening number, tradition, at the end of the song, there's a button. You go ba da 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 da, que siga. And one of our cast members tripped me by accident, and so it went ba-da-da-da-da-da, fall, que siga. And Danny was like, how did you hit the pose? I was like, I had 11 people in the audience, and not to mention like 2,000 people. I was like, there's no way that I'm just gonna be like,
stay down, you're so embarrassed.
stay down. It was not my fault. I was like, honestly, I didn't even remember how I felt. But that was one. And then another time we were in Chicago, and I was on for Gloria, and I was singing Anything for You, which is right at the beginning of the show. And at first, Gloria and her sister sing it together, and they do harmonies, and it's like, it's beautiful, whatever. And then there's a part where everyone kind of like disappears into the wings, and it's just Gloria and her keyboard, and she sings the whole song, and Emilio's like walking around her being like, wow, like she's so talented, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm playing, and everyone is walking out, and all of a sudden, the whole music in the theater just like cuts out. Like literally no sound coming from the keys. I can't hear the band. I'm like, oh my God. We're in Chicago, of course, which is a huge theater town. And I'm like, okay, this is great. So I'm playing, and I'm kind of vamping, waiting to see if they're gonna stop the show. Because sometimes it happens where stage management will be like, guys, we're stopping the show, technical difficulties, and the actors will leave. Then they fix it, we come back. So I'm like waiting, because like music, it's a Gloria Estefan musical, like it's important. So I was like, and then I realized, I'm like, come on guys, come on. And I kind of look, and I'm like, they weren't gonna stop the show. So I had to do the rest of the song a cappella, which was terrifying at the moment, but also then there was a moment where I was like, this is the best. And it ended up being really cool, because when do you get to do that? Like kind of be in a theater setting and just like, and thankfully like towards the end I could hear like a little bit of like keys, but yeah, it was crazy.
Okay, so I'll be really quick with this one. What you don't know is that the entire time that was going on, we have our earpieces on and stuff. We're playing along just fine. We hear our instruments just fine. We don't know why she's not singing with us. We're like going, what's wrong with her? What is going on? Why can't she hear us? So it was a problem with the house sound. And but we're like, why is she so out of key? Why does she sound so bad? But
No.
What?
I was singing in the right key.
Not bad. She
I was
sounded
in a
fine
different
to the
part
audience.
of the song.
She sounded fine to the audience, but she wasn't with us. But the backstage show is, if you ever want a really, really, really entertaining night, pay somebody like and to sneak you in and sit on the side of the backstage area and watch what goes on backstage. It's an entirely entertaining show like you'll never see something before. But one night in New York, none of our moving automation was working. The entire computer system was down. Nothing was working. We did the entire first half of the show with only hand props and things that could be carried on the stage by the actors. And they pretended like the entire props were there for the entire Act 1.
Oh my God.
It was incredible. It was like, it was unbelievable.
Was the kitchen automated?
No, they did the whole thing without the kitchen. They pretended like it was there.
Everything
It was automated. Yeah, nothing was there. The bed never came out. She just acted like her father was there. Oh, no. Yeah. It was the whole first act. And it was theater, old school theater.
Yeah.
You pretended like it was all happening, and the audience kind of got it,
That's
you know.
awesome.
And then for Act 2, it all got fixed.
Yeah.
So
So the question was, what song did you sing for your audition song?
So I actually came in with the Emilio packet. So the first song that they have us sing is See Your Smile. And I was dying of fright because you're singing for the Miami Sound Machine. You're just like, hey, here's your song. Hope you like it. And then the director asked me to sing one of the songs from my book, and I sang a song from the musical called The Last 5 Years. It was Shiksa Goddess. But yeah, and then after that, they had me sing Don't Want to Lose You. And yeah, it's just intimidating. You are singing their music for them, and it's like...
Yeah, I also had the Gloria packet, which is the audition packet for the show for Gloria is like 60-something pages. It's so many songs and so many scenes. And I remember I had like a week to learn everything. But really, you know that I knew this stuff like 2 years in advance because I was like, put me in, coach, put me in. But yeah, it was scary.
she did okay.
No, okay, Clay. Clay, actually, I never sang for Clay in any of my auditions. No, I never sang for you because I auditioned for New York for the most part. So I only
They
sang
sent
for
us
Lon.
a note saying, we've already approved her for her role. We'll go on to the next one.
Literally,
Yeah.
like
That's true.
I remember walking in and seeing Clay at my at the last time they called me in, and I was so excited to sing for him because we had mutual friends and blah 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 from Miami, and I walk in and I'm like, hey guys, so they had me do this scene that was literally like 3.5 seconds. It was I had put makeup. I took more time getting ready for the audition than what the audition actually was. I walk in and I do the scene and I'm like, okay, do you guys want to hear me sing? They're like, no. I was like, and
Yeah, we had a note. She's already approved this. It was a formality. It really was. It was just a formality.
Great. So that's all the time that we have today. So thank you so much for stopping by. And if you haven't checked out the show, I highly recommend you go check it out. They'll be performing at the Beale Theater in Denver until August 19, and then heading off to Costa Mesa in California. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.